There's a quietness that sits on your shoulders like an old coat. It isn't restful. It isn't the silence of peace. It is the silence of absence, of something essential that never happened. You feel it in rooms filled with people. You feel it when your calendar is full, when accomplishments pile up, and yet a hollowness lingers, invisible to anyone else. That hollow is the echo of a childhood you never fully inhabited. It's the root of the anxiety that laces your mornings and the emptiness that sometimes greets you at night. From the earliest age, you were already learning lessons that weren't in textbooks. You learned which parts of yourself were safe to show and which parts had to hide. Perhaps you learned that your emotions were too much, that your laughter was too loud, or that your curiosity invited correction. Maybe your survival required becoming the responsible one, the quiet one, or the performer whose smile masked unease. These weren't arbitrary roles. They were adaptations, survival strategies for a world that wasn't always safe for you. And when a child adapts like this, those adaptations leave invisible traces. They mold your nervous system, your expectations of others, your sense of self. Neuroscience and attachment research show that inconsistent care, emotional neglect, or unpredictable affection shapes the brain to anticipate threat. The child who learned that love was conditional becomes the adult who overworks to earn approval, who numbs to protect against disappointment, who silences desire because expression once invited punishment. These adaptations were life-saving then, but they quietly become prisons in adulthood. You may recognize this in your life, the habit of overachieving while never feeling enough, the guilt that comes with resting, the instinct to please even when it drains you. Small criticisms sting because they are not just today's words. They are echoes of every time your feelings were dismissed. Minor rejections feel unbearable because they awaken memories of invisibility from decades past. This is not weakness. This is unfinished childhood, still navigating the adult world, still seeking the care it was denied. The grief of this recognition is not optional. It is necessary. You may remember birthdays that passed without celebration, afternoons spent silenced, the joy you weren't allowed to inhabit. These memories, however small, are evidence that your emotional development was interrupted. When emotions go unprocessed, they fold into reactions and habits. Anger, fear, perfectionism, people-pleasing. They are not character flaws. They are signals from the child inside, trying to be seen. Healing begins with witnessing. To acknowledge the child who adapted, who hid, who survived. You do not erase the past, you contextualize it. You learn to differentiate between the survival patterns that once protected you and the present life you can now inhabit. Saying, "I understand why you did that," to yourself softens the relentless self-criticism that has accumulated over decades. It transforms judgment into empathy, shame into attention. And then comes the work of reparenting, small acts of consistent care, letting yourself rest without guilt, speaking to yourself kindly when mistakes happen, creating boundaries where they were absent, choosing relationships that nourish rather than drain, allowing yourself to grieve fully without performance for the childhood that was quietly taken. Each of these moments is a message. The child inside is not forgotten. You are finally showing up for them. You will notice patterns in relationships. Some people will respond with patience, some with impatience. Some will mirror your childhood needs. Some will trigger old fears. The adult you are learning to be must act as the steady presence that the child once needed. It is not perfection. It is repetition. It is reliability over time, proving safety where once only unpredictability existed. Grief will surface. Allow it. That sadness is the language of what was never acknowledged. Cry for the birthdays you didn't celebrate, for the questions you didn't get to ask, for the games you were forced to miss. This grief is not indulgent. It is restorative. By attending to it, you give the child a voice, a presence, a witness that finally says, "You mattered. You were enough." Your caregivers too were children once. Their own unhealed pasts shape their responses to you. This recognition does not excuse harm. It explains it. You are not required to repeat the silence or the neglect. You may choose forgiveness, not to absolve them, but to free yourself from carrying the weight of unanswered questions. Freedom arises when you see the generational chain and consciously decide to end it. Healing is iterative. Some days, you will regress. Some nights, the old nervous system will scream for the familiar pattern of vigilance. This is expected. You are retraining decades of instinct, replacing survival strategies with nurturance. The adult you are becoming is a parent to the child inside, offering what was missing, not with force, but with gentle constancy. The payoff is profound. You begin to inhabit your own life fully. Laughter is no longer armor. Rest is permission, not rebellion. Success becomes expression, not validation. You start attracting people and experiences that mirror this new safety, not the triggers of past absence. Your inner child, long buried, becomes companion and guide, reminding you of curiosity, joy, wonder, gifts that were once withheld. The silence you felt for so long changes its voice. It no longer echoes absence. It hums presence. It offers peace. You begin to understand that your suffering was never a punishment. It was a doorway leading you back to yourself. Each pang, each ache, each long-standing habit was pointing toward the work of reconnection, toward reclaiming what was lost. You can never get back every moment of childhood, but you can build an adulthood your younger self deserved, one filled with gentleness, creativity, and authentic expression. You can laugh freely, rest without guilt, say no without fear, and love without losing yourself. Every act of attention to your own needs honors the child inside, teaching them that they are safe, that they are valued, that they are complete. And when you finally look inward, you will see all versions of yourself standing together: the child who dreamed, the adolescent who hid, the adult who survived. Each one bears scars, yes, but also resilience. Each one, when acknowledged, forms a wholeness that was previously inaccessible. Your lost childhood is not the shadow you feared. It is the compass that guides you towards self-compassion, authenticity, and freedom. When you listen closely, the hush within becomes a sanctuary, and at last, silence feels different. Not the silence of absence, but the silence of peace. The peace that emerges when the war inside you ends, the peace that has been waiting for you all along.